Well, thank you all so much. One more round of applause for some incredible businesses, partners, and award winners. My name is Dr. Aaron-Zettler-Mann, and I have the distinct honor of being SYRCL's executive director right now, which is not to imply that I'm going anywhere. SYRCL works throughout the Yuba River watershed, and as you've probably noticed, much of our restoration work occurs within the Yuba River watershed. However, the impact that we have with your support expands far beyond that. Our educational work, the schools that we engage with, our advocacy work, the places that we go to try to make laws, policies better, more environmentally friendly, and of course our On Tour, the Wild and Scenic Film Festival, when it goes out on tour, expands far beyond the borders of our watershed. This year, we continued to do so much of the work that has made SYRCL such an important member of this community and have such a positive impact on the watershed. More than 3,600 acres of meadow restoration, 15,000 acres of more fire-safe, fire-resilient forests, salmon restoration projects in the lower Yuba River. More than 5,000 students we've engaged with this year. More than 600 volunteers. Many of you in this room this evening have helped make SYRCL's work possible. And we've spent time in Sacramento and Washington, D.C., trying to effect positive change through those legislative channels. But simply doing that kind of work, moving dirt, restoring forests, restoring meadows, isn't always enough. At SYRCL, we recognize that all of these systems are connected. The human systems, the environmental systems, political systems, social systems, they're all connected and intertwined. And so when we think about our work, we work hard to make sure that our approach also recognizes and incorporates all of those different ways of engaging with and understanding and educating people about the importance of restoration and this watershed and this place. So that meadow restoration, those 360 acres this year, the 15,000 acres of forest health work, that's really focused on restoring process, bringing back natural harmony to these systems so that they can continue to adapt and take care of themselves as the climate continues to change. When we think about education, we're getting students outside, on the ground, in the water, working alongside our science staff. So it's not just a lesson, it's not just a statistic that you're learning how to do the computations for. You're seeing the application, and that data, that information is then going to Sacramento, and we are using that data that our scientists and those students and volunteers collect to inform those people. Because let's be honest, when it comes to environmental education, there are a number of people in Sacramento and Washington, D.C. that need that education more than many of these students that Monique gets to work with. The need there is not with our local schools. By and large, the kids get it. But being in front of those legislators gives us the opportunity to build relationships with them, to build trust, to explain to them how their votes, how their policies, how their decisions affect not only this place, but the people that live in it. And once we've built those relationships, then they come out into the field with me. Then we get them, and we get them on our salmon expedition trips. We get them touring our healthier meadows, and then it's easy. Once you can get somebody out in the field, the job is done. You've made that change. You've gotten that movement. And just today, released another one of those big policy initiatives. You've hopefully talked with Tracy, seen our action from the Wild and Scenic Film Festival, which closes Friday. That momentum continues to grow. The California Coastkeeper Alliance just today put out their press release around their gubernatorial platform and some of those water policy things. I sit on the board of directors for California Coastkeeper Alliance, and that policy, that statewide initiative, is built on the letter that at this point, hopefully all of you have signed. And so that is that kind of energy that kind of starts here at SYRCL in this watershed and continues to grow and continues to expand and hopefully affect positive change that benefits not only this place, but the entire state. And that inspiration and that energy happens through the art of film as well. Hoping everybody can mark their calendars, make sure I get the dates right, February 18th through 22nd for the 25th annual Wild and Scenic Film Festival. Mark your calendars. We are already working hard on getting that ramped up and moving, and believe it or not, it feels like the fest just ended, but the work for next year is also just starting to get busy. That spirit of activism, that energy, that incredible festival also does wonderful things for this community. Annually, the film festival has about an $800,000 impact right here in our communities, in the restaurants, in the stores. Yeah. During historically the slowest time. And then, and I think this is the really exciting part for me, that energy, that inspiration, that motivation to go out and make the world a better place that we all feel over that 5-day festival, it goes out on tour. And we're in about 130 cities across the US and in Canada. Local organizations get to take those films and they use them to fundraise and get the good work that they need to get done in their communities. And that impact is more than $1.5 million. So that festival that we love so much is growing and has a massive impact across the country, helping aligned organizations get the projects done for the people that are in their watershed that matters. Our work this year has also been very practical and very engaging. Our aspen restoration project and programs are really ramping up. And right now we've got a big volunteer initiative. We've got about 60 volunteers right now going out and helping us catalog aspen species, presence, where they are in their life cycle, and these opportunities are across the state. And so if you enjoy hiking in the Alpine and you happen to have a phone with a camera, talk to Anne-Marie in the back, because we are trying to catalog, this is a partnership with UC Berkeley, we're trying to catalog all of the different aspen across the state. Again, that partnership, bringing science staff and students up to work with our science staff through working with the Women in Science program, getting these girls working alongside our predominantly female science staff to not only learn the science, learn the technique, but see careers, see those experiences and see what that path looks like and what STEM can do for you. And of course, our river monitoring program is another one of those places where our work is really on the ground. Another one of those volunteer-driven, volunteer-led programs that's really, really important for SYRCL. We've been doing it for about 25 years now, and it helps us establish water quality baselines throughout the watershed. That lets us say things about climate change. It helps us understand what might be driving the movement of species, and it lets us have a really clear picture of what the watershed looks like normally, so that when there is a catastrophic event, we know what that means. So this year, as I assume most people know, there was a pretty massive failure of a pipe at the new Colgate powerhouse owned by Yuba Water Agency. It's a terrible accident. But our data, our baseline data, and our rapid response made SYRCL a really important part of the piece of the response to that. So for a little bit of context here, New Bullard's Bar Dam in the North Yuba is a large flood control and hydropower generating facility. Coming out of that dam is a tunnel. It's about 16 feet in diameter, and it goes about 5 miles through a mountain. That tunnel then emerges from the mountain and drops through a pinstock pipe about 800 feet over about a mile to the turbines at the new Colgate powerhouse. YWA was trying to get ahead of maintenance. They were replacing pipes. They were getting ahead of a lot of the standard operation, maintenance that needs to happen for these facilities. They replaced a pipe at the top of that turbine, at the top of that pinstock pipe, so above the powerhouse. As they were pressurizing it, it failed. That is what caused the disaster. There's still investigations. We don't know exactly what happened, but there are a lot of very smart people working hard on that project. The result was that about 400 acre-feet of water, so that's an acre of land a foot deep, about 400 of those rushed down the mountain, causing a massive debris flow and landslide. We know now it was about 60,000 yards of material ended up in the North Yuba. It was catastrophic for the river and also those hydropower facility. There was mass evacuations. Fortunately, everybody escaped with just injuries. There were no fatalities, but it was a big deal. SYRCL, once it came on my radar, my first call was to the GM of Yuba Water Agency just to check in, see how he was doing, and just let him know, reaffirm our relationship with that water agency, because while we don't agree on everything, we are equally invested in this watershed in a lot of places. The next call was to Alicia, the watershed science director, because we got work to do. So this was February 13th in the evening. We woke up, we got to spend Valentine's Day together, kind of scrambling to start collecting water quality samples, because we knew that not only were we the closest, we were going to be able to work on the weekend. State, federal agencies weren't going to be able to make it out. We knew where to go, and we knew we had the data for the baseline data and the equipment, the expertise, and the science backing to collect the real-time data that we needed to start to understand the impacts of that project. At the same time, Danielle, who's around someplace, who manages all of our lower Yuba restoration projects, all of our salmon-focused projects, she was really keyed into the hydrograph in the lower Yuba. So when that debris flow happened, they lost power at the new Colgate powerhouse, and all of the personnel were undergoing some kind of emergency evacuation. One of the things that happened during that disaster is that power at Englebright Reservoir downstream, they lost power, and one of the gates closed. So for about 2 hours, the river went from about 1,400 cubic feet per second. It dropped to about 500 cubic feet per second, and then it came back up. And it was only down low for a couple hours. But Danielle, being the expert fish biologist that she is and being intimately familiar with all that river and all of the projects that are there, wanted to go put eyes on it. And that expertise, that desire to wake up first thing Saturday morning, drag her husband down to the lower Yuba to go look at it, is the only reason that the fish kill was documented. And what happened is when that water dropped, yeah, absolutely. When that water dropped, all of those juvenile spring and fall run Chinook salmon that were still along the margins got stranded in the gravel. And it doesn't take very long for them to perish, the ones that couldn't make it out. It's really hard to know how many fish actually died in that event. Fortunately, given the time of year, most of the juveniles would have been out of the system, but it was still a significant mortality event. And it was SYRCL's expert science staff and ability to mobilize quickly and know where to mobilize to that captured that. Meanwhile, Alicia and I were collecting water quality samples, looking at turbidity, dissolved oxygen. We were also collecting samples for volatile organic compounds, some of those things that, you worry about with any kind of an industrial spill. I'm happy to report and can confirm all of the CDFW and Yuba Water Agency reports. Turbidity was really, really high for a while. There's a poster back there. I'm not going to try to describe the graph to you. But the plume, the sort of cloud of very dirty, muddy water, moved through the system relatively quickly, and we didn't have any high readings for volatile organic compounds or any of the other sort of cleaner petrochemical kinds of things that you worry about with this kind of event. So, all said and done, could have been much, much worse. We continue to watch it. We were out with the recent rainstorms, early April, again, confirming how is this site evolving? What are the lingering long-term impacts of this event? And again, well within kind of what we would expect normal compared to other sites that we have, other sites that we were monitoring and similar rain events. But again, that ability to respond and have the relationships with agencies, have that trust, be seen as an expert partner is really one of the things that I think makes SYRCL special and makes me so proud to work here, because when those reports of fish kill happened, CDFW, California Department of Fish and Wildlife, came to us. When they needed additional turbidity data, when they wanted other data sources, they knew the experts to ask. They knew that they could trust the data, and they knew that we had the data because of the relationships that we've been able to build with those agencies over so long. The other thing that I want to talk about this year, changing subjects abruptly, is the 25th anniversary of the Wild and Scenic River designation for the South Yuba. This is really exciting. This is a fantastic anniversary. So for those that don't know and didn't have the opportunity to chat with some of SYRCL's founders, Roger and Izzy in the back, this organization was founded about 43 years ago. I don't think I'm doing my math right. Something like 43 years ago, with the idea that the South Yuba was worth saving. There were a number of different dam proposals on the South Yuba from different companies, some local, some French, kind of all over the place. And the people that lived here decided that that wasn't gonna fly. And so they mobilized, they took action, and they built a grassroots campaign. It was focused on education, it was focused on collaboration, it was focused on helping people understand the benefits of this as a river versus a series of lakes for this community and for this place. After a long, hard fight, and I don't want to gloss over that fight or those stories, so if you haven't checked out the YouTube videos of the interviews that I've done with a number of those founders, please go take a look at them. They're on the SYRCL website. We've got some great conversations with all of them, individual interviews. So if you want the full story, that's the place to get it. But in short, in 1999, that law was passed and signed by the governor. But it didn't go into effect in 2000, pending our ability to then help the lower Yuba County, Marysville, Yuba City, that area, with some of that flood control. And so right from the beginning, SYRCL was founded on this idea that we are going to fight really, really hard for what we want, and we're gonna win, but we recognize that there needs to be collaboration. It can't be an us or them. The best solutions, the long-lasting solutions, the meaningful solutions offer an opportunity for everybody to kind of get what they need. And that is the legacy that we kind of get to celebrate today and this evening and all year with the 25th anniversary of the Wild and Scenic South Yuba River. And so because I saw many of you eating 25th anniversary South Yuba River birthday cake, I know you will all be joining me in happy birthday. But before that, I want to take a few minutes, just a couple of minutes, to see if there are any questions from anybody out in the audience. Yeah, so the question was about insurance money coming out of the Colgate disaster, insurance, that kind of thing. The very short version is it's too early to tell. I have to assume that there are lots of people, subcontractors, contractors, like lots of people having very serious conversations with not only the people on the ground, but also insurance agents and that kind of thing. We don't know what that is going to look like. We know that when these kinds of events happen, there is almost always some kind of mitigation, restoration requirement. And it is highly likely that SYRCL, I don't want to guarantee, but knowing our relationship, it's quite likely that SYRCL will be part of helping make sure that that project gets on the ground and happens. But again, what that looked like, I mean, there are a lot of lawyers are going to buy a second home based on that process, I think, unfortunately. There's one more kind of in the back, yeah.
Yeah, I want to know if there's anybody in the room that was standing on the gravestep, had the foresight, the forerunners. I want to thank them. So whoever you are,
Folks that were here, if you were here and around and helped with the 25th anniversary, like the work that you did is why this river is still a river, not a say. Are there, stand up? Folks that are around still? Michael, come on. Yeah, that is one of the things that makes this community so special, is that the people are still here. They're still here, we get to talk to them, we run into them.
how many members does SYRCL have?
Julie, how many members? So the question was about the number of members. We've got about 3,500 members. Yeah. Yeah, question about the Daguerre Point Dam. This is another one of those things that's honestly a longer conversation than I've got time for right now. That is a challenging project, and there are a lot of pros and cons. I mean, fish passage is really important, and there is this known kind of threat of a sort of naturalized species. It's not native to the west coast of the US, but it's been here a real long time, of striped bass. And striped bass prey on lots of just about everything that they can catch, including juvenile salmon. And so right now the dam prevents those species from accessing about 12 miles of the lower Yuba River, but that dam also makes it much harder for Chinook to get up to that portion of the river, prevents all sturgeon from getting up to that river, virtually prevents all lamprey from getting up to that river. And so that is a challenge and a issue that we continue to grapple with and work on. Danielle's going to be at the International Symposium on Fish Passage here in about a month, learning and talking and leading a field trip. We all go up to salmon restoration. I've taken workshops, and so we are actively trying to figure out how to balance some kind of important conflicting needs and values and priorities. All right, last question, and then start warming up for happy birthday. That's same project. Yep, the Nature Lake Fishway is the sort of go around instead of the sort of outdated fish ladders that they've currently got. Yeah, same project, same answer. All right, is everybody ready? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Yuba. Happy birthday to you. Thank you all so much for coming out this evening. Please, on your way out, go talk to the true experts in the back. The bar will be open for a little bit longer, and I would be shocked if there may or may not be a little bit of cake left. I actually don't want to promise that. All right. Thank you all so much.